If you've been playing games for a while, you probably came across a title that has a rarity system attached to them. Usually ranging from normal to legendary, with the tiers in between being uncommon, rare, and epic. This is a proven format that has its roots all the way back in 1996, with the release of Diablo. And it became fully realized in the color-coded way we know today, that being white, green, blue, purple, and orange in 2004, with the release of World of Warcraft by Blizzard. Although this mechanic has been present for a long time, and is probably older than a lot of you that's watching this video, I feel like it's been diluted, in the way that it no longer conveys rarity and uniqueness, and it's more used like a way to gatekeep you from content and incentivize grinding. Let's start our story with a game that in my opinion does this system justice, better than any other title. That being 2011's Borderlands 2. Now, I myself am a Borderlands 2 stan, and might be coming from a biased point of view when I say that it is the best implementation of this system. But to that I say that I don't really care, because this is my video and you are going to watch it. I'm kidding, okay, don't leave. Anyways, looking into Borderlands 2, we will see the classic 5-tier system, white being common, green being uncommon, blue being rare, purple being epic, and orange being legendary. There are 3 other rarities in Borderlands 2 that come with DLCs, but we're not gonna talk about them in this video. That being said, opposed to most other games, when you look at an endgame build for Borderlands 2, you will not only see legendary items being equipped. Most of the time, there will be a mix between legendaries, epics, and rares. Why is that? Because every rarity tier after uncommon has something unique to offer that makes it usable regardless of what difficulty you're playing on, making it so 60% of the game's rarities are worth using in some way or another. And all of that stems from its system of unique weapons. It goes like this: when you look at raw stats, most of the rarities are normal, as far as you'd expect. But the catch is, starting with blue weapons, some of them are unique. Unique weapons have a specific effect that changes the way you play with the weapon or with the way the weapon works. It could be something trivial, like a fire rate increase, or something that completely changes how the weapon works. For example, a weapon that does a lot more damage if you manage to ricochet your shots off the ground. Now, most of the unique items are concentrated in the rare and legendary tiers, with very few of them appearing in the epic quality. That makes it so in the meta, the blue tier is composed almost entirely of items with specific benefits that can tie a build together. A good example of that would be the Macromancer character. This character has a skill called Anarchy, which is worth a whole video of explanation, but in layman's terms, it makes it so you trade a massive damage boost for a massive accuracy loss. So, if you want to use this skill with a particular weapon called the Infinity, which is a pistol that has, well, infinite ammo, you cannot, because the Infinity has a singular bullet in its magazine, and for you to get max Anarchy level, you need to give up magazine size, which in the end of the day makes it so the Infinity has 0 bullets in the mag. Well, now you're thinking, I won't be able to use it, will I? But that's when blue items come to save you. There is a blue item called the True Neutral Class mod, which raises your magazine size and tweaks your skills just in a way that can make the Infinity work. It's the only item that you can use in this character that will be able to make you use the Anarchy skill with the Infinity pistol and still be a viable build. This is one of the many examples in which a blue item can tie a build together. Now, for the purple weapons, considering that there are only 8 purple unique items in this game, and also the fact that most of those uniques are garbage, the purple tier is basically the no frills tier. All items boast very good stats, with no massive drawbacks or upsides. You could comfortably play the game at endgame level with nothing but purples due to their reliability. And finally, the elephant in the room, the legendaries. 90% of the legendaries in this game are desirable not because of their raw stats, but because of their game-changing effects. In fact, a lot of legendary items tend to be worse number-wise compared to their purple counterparts, but make up for it by changing the gameplay mechanics of the weapon. A good example of that would be the Flacker, which is an explosive shotgun. that opposed to simply shooting explosive shells straight ahead like a purple explosive shotgun would do, when you press the trigger, after a small delay the shells burst into a massive wall of explosions in front of you, being able to hit an enemy multiple times. While this is very powerful, you have to change the way you look at the weapon entirely, because now just pointing at the enemy and shooting is no longer viable. You need to master the distance at which the projectiles explode and where in the screen should you aim so these explosions hit the most enemies possible. But enough about the items themselves. How do you get them? Well, it varies. Blue unique items are usually acquired by completing a specific quest or killing a specific named NPC. 99% of the time it's easy and does not require a lot of effort. Purples are for the most part non-unique, so they belong in what we call the world drop pool, meaning that you can get them from basically anywhere, be it killing enemies, opening chests, or finding them at vending machines. By the end of the game, you'll naturally have a lot of purple items with good stats that will carry you just fine through the game. Some legendaries are also in the world drop pool, which makes them a bitch to track down, but most of them have a specific enemy, usually a boss, that drops it with a relatively low chance. But here's the kicker. Even though they're rare, it's incredibly easy to just reload the game and kill the boss again. Here's a clip of me farming the very first boss of the game for his legendary, the Hornet, on a brand new character, level 1. It took me 6 minutes of reloading the game. All of this makes it so putting together a build in Borderlands 2 is not limited to the endless grind of finding the thing that has the biggest number attached to it, not only because the pool of usable items is immense, but also because no content is barred with a message saying, "Oh, your guns are not blinged out enough for this area. Come back when you spend 30 more hours farming, fuckhead." The progression feels organic and purposeful. And also, if you're sadistic enough to try to do the whole thing with only shitty white items, there's nothing stopping you from doing so. And sure, there are more difficult challenges that require a lot of game knowledge and specific loot, but the average Joe will most likely not dive that deep into the game. And again, everything you need can be farmed for relatively easily, or even modded in with save editor tools, because this is not a game as a service, therefore, we are allowed to have fun. Speaking of games as a service, now we come to the sad part, also known as modern gaming, where the $60 you spend on the game up front is no longer enough to make you experience the whole thing. The main thing I see happening nowadays is the rarity tiers being used as a way to make you grind for hours and hours just to get something with bigger numbers and rarely any actual gameplay impacts. The common trend in games as a service is to have something along the line of a gear score. And man, how I fucking despise gear scores. It works like this. Every piece of gear you have has a score attached to it, usually depending on the weapon level, the item level, and its rarity. If you add all of your item scores up, then take the average, you get your average gear score. And what games love doing nowadays is locking content behind a certain gear score. Now, does this gatekeeping come out of concern from the developers that you maybe won't have fun if you enter said area without the appropriate gear score? Of course not. They just want you to play more. They want you to keep grinding and hoping that that orangey beam of light will show up from the body of a boss you already killed 50 times before. And when it does, it might not even be the item you want, but you still have to equip it to meet the gear score requirement. That makes it so as soon as you get something with a bigger number attached to it, your previous choice is now useless, no matter how much more fun it may be. It may have been a weapon that you really enjoyed using it for the look and feel, but now it is gone until you can farm for a better version of it. The bottom line is, companies want either your money or your time, ideally both. So why not strip rarity tiers of any uniqueness and make them all about number go big, haha. One of the games that pissed me off the most with this tactic was Diablo Immortal. Yes, I played quite a bit of Diablo Immortal, shame on me. In that game, even though the base items can have gameplay altering effects via the legendary gear pieces that are really not hard to get at all, your progression is ultimately tied to the gems. That if you want the gems to be at max rank, you need to shell out basically a brand new Porsche to Daddy Blizzard. And let's be honest, either the same or something completely related to is going to happen in Diablo 4. I guess drinking breast milk does not improve your game developing ability at all. I think the only sane reason for why this is happening is the rise of games as a service model, which me and many other people agree that it's killing the industry we love so much. When you try to turn a game into my second job, I am not going to have fun with it anymore. I want to be able to experience everything your game has to offer without having to sink in hundreds of hours just so I can have the opportunity to use a certain character to the best of their abilities. Player retention used to mean that your game is so good that people can't stop playing it. Now it's all about that dopamine drip, daily quests, unreasonably rare items, gear scores, and pay-to-win systems. It's not weird for me that I see myself failing to get invested in almost any big publisher game released after 2018. Most of them require you to make the game your second life, and that to me is just ridiculous. I'm supposed to be thrilled to play a game, and not booting it every day thinking, oh my god, I have to complete my dailies, otherwise I'll never get the item I want, or the character I want. I just want to play. Thankfully, there are some developers, both big, like From Software, and small, like Ghost Ship Games, that still deliver games that shy away from this norm. But what used to be the default is now an outlier, and I can only hope that this trend does not consume the entire industry some years in the future.